Superman is out and everybody's saying it's great, which is a shame because the writing for the film sucks quite a lot. The biggest issues I find with it come down to one person, Lex Luthor. Don't get me wrong, the performance from Nicholas Hoult is really good, but if you take a few moments to consider anything his character does in this film, it just doesn't add up. Come on, he can recreate the Big Bang in order to make his own pocket universe, but can't hire one guy to monitor and control his girlfriend's phone so she doesn't leak sensitive intelligence to reporters, and he never checked her list of contacts and thought, you know, maybe the person who constantly takes pictures in my secret kill Superman room shouldn't have instant access to send things to a reporter from the Daily Planet. Hell, why does he even let her take any selfies in his highly confidential secured buildings anyway? Does nobody in this universe know what the words operational security mean? This isn't a nitpick, by the way, because the intelligence she gives to Jimmy leads to the destruction of Lex's public reputation and gets him thrown in prison for instigating a war between two countries. And you can't argue this is due to him being petty or too focused on Superman. We are told he is tracking the girlfriend's locations via traffic cameras, and that he locked up an ex of his simply for writing a blog post about him, presumably not a nice one. How can he go to all those lengths and not think of surveilling a phone? We should expect more of our stories that characters who are otherwise presented as incredibly intelligent and calculating are not made inexplicably stupid whenever the plot needs them to be. The other thing which destroys his character and the whole movie is that his plan to contain Superman is really stupid. His plan is to throw him into a cell with the Element Man in the Pocket Universe. Why? You can create your own pocket universes. Create another one, throw Superman in it, destroy the portals connecting to it, and voila, he's trapped forever. But oh no, there's a clever little line that explains this. You see, the government wants some questions answered by Superman, so Lex cannot kill him. Why? Why does Lex care about the government? You really think the guy who can create universes gives a toss what the government has to say? Why, it's like another Superman movie dealt with this very question.
Entirely new continent.
And the rest of the world will just let you keep it? They'll
What?
I'll have advanced alien technology thousands of years beyond what anyone could throw at me. Bring it on!
And all he had was some crystals that blew up in water. What's this Lex's excuse? Anyway, the Element Man can transform any part of his body into any substance in the universe, including kryptonite. He's Lex's only source of it, as all the other pieces on Earth have been destroyed. Somehow. Unfortunately, Element Man is an ordinary person underneath his powers, so Lex has to motivate him by getting a guy to watch his son, and presumably to kill or harm him in the event that Element Man doesn't keep the kryptonite going. And this guard can see Superman's cell because he's about 50 meters directly opposite it. But oh dang it, Lex makes the mistake of killing a civilian in front of Element Man, causing him to break down in tears and start helping Superman. To reiterate, the film heavily implied something terrible would befall the kid if Mr. M did not keep kryptoniting Superman. And yet, Element Man switches off the kryptonite, spends about 1 to 2 minutes creating a mini-sun to heal Superman's kryptonite poisoning. The prisoners in the cells surrounding them start calling out to the guards to alert them that Superman is trying to escape, and in all this time, the film forgets that by now the kid should be deader than a penguin waddling through the Sahara. This is beyond infuriating. Why was the guard and the kid even there to begin with? Why weren't they a mile away, or hell, back in the regular universe? Why would you, Lex Luthor, allow for the slimmest possibility of Superman or Element Man being able to break out of the cell and save the kid? Why didn't you have a screen inside the cell showing the kid in an undisclosed location, so that the threat to the kid's life is apparent and the heroes have no idea where the kid is in the event that they could save him. But all this is missing the bigger point that Lex does not have a backup plan in case Element Man decided to help Superman. Wouldn't he have thought about what to do in this possible situation, considering his neurotic obsession with destroying Supes, and never ever wanting him to leave that cell once he's in it? This is not nitpicking, we're not splitting hairs. The second half of the film only happens because Lex is inexplicably an out-of-character idiot. Now, does that mean it's impossible for Superman to escape? No, but the reasoning for why has to be better than this. And even considering this scene from a purely thematic perspective, it's so incredibly unsatisfying. Lex's whole thing is wanting to prove to the world that Superman is not one of us, that you can't fall onto a planet and be given the powers of a god and act like you're human. He monologues that it's simply about Superman not having to work to earn his greatness and love from humanity, but the film argues through Superman that Lex is wrong because he assumes Supes is an alien, and that in reality Clark is just as human as anyone else deep down. So, structurally, Superman being captured by Lex should be the thematic low point, where Lex's worldview is at its strongest, and Superman escaping the cell should be a result of the positive thematic message breaking through. Narratively, this means it should be impossible for Superman to escape the cell without the answer coming in the form of something or someone embodying the idea that Superman fits under the umbrella of humanity. This is why having the Element Man help Superman simply because a civilian died is thematically weak. The film presents it as a civilian willing to give his life so Superman wouldn't have to give in to Lex. The thematic argument would be that seeing a human defend the idea of Superman so strongly is what convinces Element Man that Superman is important for humanity. But we don't know what Element Man's opinions are on Superman. He just threatens him with kryptonite because his kid's in danger, which is good character drama, but at the cost of the progression of the film's thematic journey. There were a couple ways this could have been done. One would be to involve Lois, a character who spends the first half of the film on the fence if she can make her relationship work with Superman, a question which symbolizes humanity's view on him. So her showing up to save Superman and giving him a message about the importance of humanity and how she's seen and felt firsthand that he is just as human as the rest of us, could, with some finagling, work as a thematic through line. Or we could have had Superman's capture be controlled by a character who's fully bought into Lex's propaganda. Perhaps a certain someone who is shown to be able to fill his lungs with nanites, courtesy of Ray Palmer. Someone who has given their life and transformed their body in service of an ideal to destroy this affront to the human spirit. You know, the engineer. Because Lex needs Superman alive a little while longer, she has to occasionally let him take in enough air to breathe, and Superman can spend those precious moments trying to convince her that Lex is wrong, perhaps pointing out that at this point she's sacrificed so much of her body and humanity that she's become the very thing she set out to destroy. In some ways, she's made herself more alien than Superman, which could be enough to make her realize, oh shit, maybe Superman isn't as different from us as she thought. Maybe have Clark talk about being raised by his parents in Kansas, or his love for punk rock stuff. The point is to convey to the engineer that deep down what connects us is our memories and common experiences. After all, the film shows that her entire body has been transformed into a collection of nanomachines, her consciousness seeming to be the only thing remaining, so the natural commonality that would convince her of Superman's humanity is their minds. Isn't that more thematically meaningful? To have Lex's plans fall apart because a flaw in his thinking is exposed to a character who seems purpose-built to explore the ideological conflict between Supes and Lex? Wishful thinking. And to round off this Lex Luthor themed section, what about his last-ditch effort to kill Supes, when he created a distraction by tearing a rift through the planet that connected to his pocket universe, which has a black hole in it? Let me repeat that. a black hole. Allow me to demonstrate the issue here. This is a black hole. This is the rift in the universe Lex created. This is Metropolis. When Lex opens the rift, bye-bye Metropolis and the Earth. Immediately. Oh, but because that didn't happen, there must be a magic barrier preventing anything getting sucked into the pocket universe because of quantum proton helio-schmelioism. Quick, James, have a character ADR it in pose. Hey, at least Superman went to go deal with this world-destroying problem. And Mr. Terrific, the world's most technologically capable superhero from the looks of it. He'd probably want to call his pals Green Lantern and Hawkgirl over to deal with the rift, wouldn't he? Wait, no, he can't, because Baravia is invading Jaranpur and is about to mow down innocent people. And having the hero save everyone is really hopeful and inspiring. I don't know, I think if you weigh up the options between stopping a war and saving the entire planet from being destroyed, one of these things takes precedent over the other. In fact, Mr. Terrific makes this argument to convince Superman to not go to Jaranpur. So, either Mr. Terrific is an idiot for not telling Green Lantern and Hawkgirl about the end of the world, or Hawkgirl and Green Lantern are idiots for not trying to stop the end of the world. Hey Lex, why didn't you make the invasion the distraction to lure Superman to? You're in cahoots with the Baravian leader. You know when this invasion is gonna happen. Superman was going to go to Jaranpur before you decided to rip open the Earth, and he has already faced public backlash for intervening in previous skirmishes between the two sides. I don't know guys, I feel pretty confident Lex's first instinct would have been to use the invasion as an excuse to assassinate Superman before tearing a hole in the universe. But I mean, why stage the final battle in a place the film put an inordinate amount of thematic focus on and that doesn't oversaturate the stakes when you can have the end of the world tacked on as well? Do you see why I find Lex to be a terribly written character? What about Superman? What exactly was his journey supposed to be in this film? It seemed to be having to grapple with the realization his Kryptonian parents sent him to Earth to subjugate the planet and spread his seed to ensure the survival of the Kryptonian people. Because the lesson he was given by Pa Kent was about how parents shouldn't decide what our kids should do with their lives, implying Clark had to learn to not listen to his parents. Why would he? He lived his life being a nice, morally upstanding guy, a protector of humanity. Why would he ever think, I lived my life thinking I was sent to Earth to protect and do good by the people, but it turns out I was actually sent to become Genghis Khan. I wonder what option I should choose. I'm not saying he can't feel betrayed for spending so long thinking his parents sent him to do good only to find out it was to do evil, but this is like being inspired by Mr. Beast to help starving children in Africa for your whole life, only to find out he just wanted the kids alive long enough so that they could subscribe to his channel. That would suck, but are you really gonna think twice about saving the starving kids over it? Now, it wouldn't suck if those kids were subscribing to my channel, but I mean for anybody else this is just stupid. A lot of this film is stupid, and hey, if you enjoyed it despite the flaws, knock yourself out. I personally just find there's a lot of surface level aesthetic stuff the film does that is great, but I don't know why people are holding this film up as some great return to form for superhero media, when it seems to have the same sort of film-breaking plot ridiculousness and ankle-deep subtextual commentary as most other superhero films from the last half a decade. That's my 2 cents anyway. Take care everyone.